So this is a video documenting how my garage went from this to this, showing every step along the way. So I've decided to kind of do up and decorate this single garage here. Just so I've got like a nice clean area to do mechanics, car detailing, and potentially put a motorbike in here as well. So yeah, this is how it's looking at the minute. First thing I did was just take almost everything out of the garage, then just use the stiff brush to sweep up the bigger chunks of debris and leaves. Then I got the trusty Parkside here, and what that did is it sucked up all the thick layer of dust from the floor. Absolute machine that is, like it just does it without a fuss and never seems to lose any suction. So we got all the dust off the floor, all the debris and everything. And then the ceiling was like a brown colour. I'll just insert a picture of that now. And so I've just started painting it white. I've got one coat here of Johnston's white emulsion. Just as I finished the one coat, I ran out. So I am going to give it a second coat, as knackering as ceiling painting is, just because there's the odd area where, like there for example, it's just a bit patchy. So I think 2 coats will be absolutely fine. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that paint to show up, I'm going to vacuum the walls to get any loose dust off them, because it's kind of like breeze block stuff, this is, because these are going to get painted as well. So vacuum the walls, get as much dust off, and then just use a rag and some sugar soap just to wipe them down, remove any chunks like up here. Don't even know what that is. Some kind of resin, I think. Just get stuff like that off. I think there's a few nails here and there I need to pull out as well, like over there. So yeah, the plan is, once that's all clean and dry, do a second coat on the ceiling. And then I've ordered Everbuild, I think it's called 306, which is Blockwork primer. So what that does is it sets kind of hard and stops dust from coming off the walls. And then you can paint directly onto it. Because the problem with these blocks is they'll just suck up paint. So you'll need to do coat after coat after coat to get a good finish. But if you use a sealer / primer specifically for brick and block, you'll get away with far less coats because the brick won't be able to absorb it all. So that'll be the next thing. Just going to do brilliant white on the blockwork, same as the ceiling really. And then next I'm going to get some Everbuild. It's a different code, it might be 406. It's a separate product to what I'm going to use on the blocks here. Because it's designed for concrete. Same thing though, you just kind of roller it on or brush it on, and it will set hard and stop dust from being created from the looser patches of concrete on here. So yeah, that'll be the next thing. After that I'll look into some kind of flooring, either like yoga mat, soft rubber kind of stuff, or plastic interlocking tiles. I'm not sure yet. The plastic's going to cost a lot more obviously, but you do get a better finish. So anyway, first thing to do is to prep these with a light vacuum in, and then just clean and tidy and scratch off any stuff like that. So yeah, I'll crack on. In fact, I can't be arsed with the sugar soap. I don't think it's really going to accomplish much, unless like the brick looks particularly oily or greasy. I don't think there's any point cleaning it, because you're just going to create more powder. So instead I'm just going around pulling out any nails and any high spots like here, scrape straight off like that. So even this step is optional, to be fair, but it's only going to take a few minutes, and I just want to get this kind of stuff off. And then it'll be ready for the sealer, so I'll just crack on with that. The ceiling paint, I'm using this Johnston's Brilliant White. water-based paint. Very good stuff. I use it all around the house as well. It's quite easy to work with. It's cheap. I think it was about 18 quid for 5 litres. Did my whole living room with it. And this is 2 coats. I admit it's very dark in here, but that's 2 coats on the ceiling. It's still drying, so it's going to look patchy. So I'll show it again tomorrow, if I can get it to focus. But yeah, arguably could have got away with 1 coat and just patched in a couple of areas, but just to be thorough, I did 2, and I've still got over half the tub there as well. So a couple of tips for painting the ceiling, which I've kind of figured out for myself. One, I would say, do the ceiling in sections. So in my case, I've split it. So this light here is pretty much bang in the centre of the garage. So you can split it in half or thirds or even quarters. And then for each section you do, I would do the cutting in first, then roller, then on the next section do the cutting in, then roller, etc. The reason for that is it just gives your shoulders and neck a bit of a break from constantly looking up and using the extension pole. Because when you're cutting in, you stood on the ladder and it's pretty much at face height, and you're not cranking your neck back all the time. Another tip I would say is wear a head torch, because it really allows you to see where you have and haven't been, which is a common issue with white paint. It can be quite hard to see where you've been. So that could potentially save you some time, so you're not rollering an area that you've already done but not realised. Another tip I would say, if you can afford one, get a lightweight extension pole. Like they do fiberglass ones for about 30 quid, which are very lightweight. I've not done that. This is just a cheap B&M job. I think it was about a £5. Like, I've got a Hamilton roller on here, which are really good. I'd recommend them. It just screws straight into the extension pole, but it is quite heavy, and it does kind of tire your shoulders out after a while. Definitely recommend a loft suit with a hood on it, just so you don't get absolutely covered in paint. But it is knackering, and I'd say painting ceilings are the least rewarding jobs, like decorating jobs, you can do, because you're never really going to be looking at it. So yeah, it's just a bit of a faff, but once it's done, it's done. Again, in my case, I don't need to worry about neatness of cutting in at all, because the blocks are going to be painted white as well, so who cares. And I use the term cutting in very loosely. All I'm really doing is going up with the brush to get right in the corner where the roller is going to struggle. I'm not trying to not paint the brick, because I don't care. And again, the finish, I'm not, you can take it as far as you want, but I'm not looking for perfection, because it's a garage. The only reason I'm doing it is to make it brighter, as bright as possible, which is always nice in a garage. If I was like a professional YouTuber who's like a car detailer and I film videos in my garage detailing cars, I'd be more concerned about having a perfect finish. But as you can see on here, there are like raised bits, a few lines here and there where the first coat dried and I didn't roller it enough. But I don't really care. Like, in my case, it's just a garage and I just want to make it a bit nicer. And I'd say once you've done a section, just roller back over it lightly. Say if you're doing it widthways like this when you're first putting the paint on. Once you've done a section, roll it this way without any extra paint, just to help flatten out any raised bits. But you can see I kind of forgot to do that in areas, so there's the odd raised bit there, but I don't really mind. Second coat is a lot easier. I'm about halfway into it now and it's only taken about half an hour, so it's good paint. So yeah, I'm just going to finish off and then that'll be done. So for the walls, this is the product I've bought. Everbuild quick drying stabilizing solution. So basically it just seals the brick from dust and whatnot, and just gives it kind of like a hard clear coating ready to paint. The idea is that if you apply this, the blockwork is going to absorb much less of the paint, so you have to do less coats. And it was very cheap. I think it was about 12 or 15 quid, again from Amazon, for 5 litres, which I'm hoping will be enough. To save time, I'm just going to pour some in a big plastic drawer thing I've got, because I don't have a paint tray wide enough for the 12-inch roller that I've bought. So I'm going to use this to apply it. Just dip it in the tub full of this stuff, roller it on, and then I've just got some cheap multi-purpose block brushes for getting in between the gaps. So yeah, all in all, I think these are about 6 quid for 2, because I'll use the other one for paint. Again, that was about 12, might have been 15. I can't remember, because I've also bought Everbuild concrete stabilizer for the base in the garage, which hasn't arrived yet. I know one of them was literally like 12 quid and the other was about 16 or 18. Can't remember which way around it was. And then this roller cradle thing for a 12-inch roller was about a £5, and then I got 3 rollers just to future-proof myself if I have any other jobs to do. I think these are about 3 or 4 quid each. They're medium pile. I perhaps should have got long pile, but I don't know. We'll give it a go anyway. So there we go. I got my 12-inch roller. Just poured some of it in this tub here. I'm not going to do loads because I don't know how far it's going to go. Then I got my brush there, so I'm just going to do this small section just to see what happens, really. So yeah, that's 1 coat done. It took about maybe 50 minutes to an hour. What did take a bit longer is basically I would do 1 wall, then I had to go back with the brush and brush in the gaps between the blocks. Now, to save time potentially for anyone else doing it, I would just try and find the shaggiest roller you can get. A long pile ideally. This is medium pile, and it could cope with some of the shallower grooves like along here, but anything deeper than that, and it just couldn't reach it, so I had to go back over each wall and paint in the gaps, but still only took about an hour. Bit skeptical really, but we'll see how it goes. I'll check it tomorrow. And to be honest, regardless of how well it does after 1 coat, I will do a 2nd coat anyway, because I don't have any other projects coming up that are going to need this product, and it goes off after 12 months, so I might as well use it all. And for reference, I've probably used 2/3 of it. I did apply it very, very liberally, as it tells you to do, so you can see the blocks look very damp, which is a good thing. So yeah, just typical single garage size. I think it's 4.97 by 5.23, something like that. So yeah, about 2/3 of the tub. It's a 5 litre tub, gets you 1 coat, 1 pretty thorough coat, I will say, heavy coat. So yeah, check back tomorrow, see what it's like. So here we are the next day after that 1 coat of Everbuild, and well, has it worked? So there's certainly less dust, but I can still feel bigger bits coming off the block, and you can hear it, listen, going on the floor. So it certainly feels better, but I think the blockwork has absorbed quite a lot of it. So yeah, it kind of feels like there's sugar granules on the surface. Let's just try a different area. Yeah, again, it feels better, but I think it could use another coat. And I'm hoping with another coat I'll need less coats of paint. That's the whole idea of it anyway. Some areas do feel better than others, like this feels pretty solid and ready for painting. Same here. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a miracle product, but it is very cheap. So yeah, I've got just enough, as I said, a third of the bottle to do one more light coat. So that's what I'll do, leave it until tomorrow and then start painting. So yeah, we'll see what it's like after two. Actually, you know what? So remember when I said the first coat took 2/3 of the bottle to do? Well, I've just done a second coat in literally about 20 minutes, being very liberal again. And I managed to do the entire space with that final third of the bottle. So that pretty much proves to me that the blocks have become a lot less porous because they're absorbing a lot less of the product. So yeah, if I was going to recommend it, I would say for breeze block and other porous blocks, you definitely want a minimum of 2 coats. So I'm going to let this dry. I'm not going to do a third coat. I think that's overkill. I think with the first coat, some of it absorbed into the block, and now I've done a second that's sitting more on the surface. So it's going to be, it should be a lot easier to paint. But that was an absolute dream. A little went so much further than the first pass, hence I literally finished it in like half the time. So we'll see what it's like when I get to painting, but so far so good. It's a very promising sign anyway. So yeah, just going to let this dry and start getting the paint on once it's fully cured. But yeah, I mean, if it helps, if it eliminates the need to do like 1 or 2 extra coats of masonry paint, I would say it's paid for itself, because it's a lot more physical effort and a lot more time and expense to add layer after layer of masonry paint. Whereas that, you can just carelessly slap it on with a roller and a big brush, and honestly that was about 20 minutes, whereas the first go around was closer to an hour. So it does smell, it's got a weird, the whole garage now smells like a building site in the rain, if you know what I mean. So I've just got to let it dry out and we'll go from there. So yeah, but that is quite promising. I thought it would be another hour or so to do, but it was just straight on there, no issues. So cheers. So I just went out to the garage and had a feel after that second coat, and I think it's reasonably dry, probably ready for paint. I'm probably just going to do a test spot to begin with, because it's quite a cold day today. It says 2 to 4 hours to fully dry, and it's been about 3 hours I think now. So I should probably leave it longer, but I really just want to get the walls done so I can start putting stuff back in the garage. For reference, this is the paint I'm going to use, 5 litres there, Leyland Masonry Smooth, 10-year life apparently, in brilliant white. No particular reason, it was just a good price on Amazon, seemed to beat most of the rivals. I probably would have gone with Johnston's because they're tried and tested as far as I'm concerned, but the Johnston's was around the same price for 2.5 litres, so you know, you'd like to think paint is paint and this will do the job, so that's what I'm going to try. As for the floor, this is the stuff I was on about, 403 concrete hardener and dust proofer. Exactly the same concept as the 306 Everbuild stuff for the walls, but the wall stuff doesn't work on concrete, hence why I had to buy this as well. This will be obviously the last step after all the painting's done, because I'll have to wait for that to harden before I put stuff back in the garage. So yeah, just going to give this a go now. But if it's not really taking very well, I'll just quit for a while and wait for the Everbuild stuff to completely cure. So yeah, see how it goes. I'll leave links in the description for literally everything I've used for this little project, and I'll tally up the total costs at the end as well, because it'd be quite interesting to know. So there's just a quick test spot, and to be fair, it seems to be taking quite well. Now it's obviously going to need 2 coats, hopefully just 2, but it does seem to be sitting on the surface as opposed to being absorbed into the brick. So think I'm going to do all my cutting in first, especially these bricks around here will all have to be done with a brush, and then roller the bigger areas. So I have to cut in along the bottom there as well, and just where it links to the ceiling. But yeah, quite happy with that. The paint seems quite easy to work with as well. So I'm also going to get some cardboard to just slot up there to create like a hood over the garage door so I don't get paint all over that. It's very messy business, so try and collect as much cardboard as you can. I've got a TV box here all cut up, creating loads of panels to just prevent white paint splatter all over the concrete floor. You could argue that doesn't really matter much if you're going to paint the floor or put tiles down, but still, I just think it's better to try and keep it clean. But yeah, that's looking good so far, I would say. The medium pile roller is also handling the gaps fairly well, but I will still need to go around with a brush to get in the deeper grooves, obviously. So hopefully it shouldn't take too long. So I decided to do all the fiddly, boring bits first. So that includes all the way around here, right up into the corners, and then with the ladder all the way around the top, making sure to get between the blocks, just to get that boring bit out of the way. Now I'll carry on rollering, and as you can see, it's certainly going to need a second coat. However, that's covered pretty well, and that's almost dry now, so I'm hoping it's not just going to keep sucking it up, and I'll get away with 2 coats. That would be a dream if true. Now, a couple of tips: get yourself a Hamilton, or actually no, Harris, the actual roller itself, a small 4-inch Harris roller, because it's the perfect diameter to get in between there. Now, granted, it doesn't have much paint on it at the minute, but I basically used this for almost all of the gaps. I only really needed this small brush here. That's another Harris brush, really good, would recommend. And this block brush is pretty brilliant as well for getting right up in the corners where even the roller won't fit. So yeah, definitely want one of them. Well, all 3 ideally. This is good for around plug sockets and whatnot. So the main thing you want to know is, does that sealer work? And I would say absolutely 100% it does. As you can see, it's made the concrete, or whatever it is, cement, between the blocks darker, and that's because it's got, almost feels like a skin on it, which has made it much less porous. Overall, the blocks are just far less powdery, and the paint just seems to be going on really nice and spreading well. Now, I am a bit concerned about how much I've got left. I've used maybe a quarter of it so far just doing this, but I won't order more yet, because this, like the sealer, the second coat might spread really far, and I might get away with just 2 coats and 1 tub. That would be great if true, but we'll see. But the sealer worked particularly well on the normal bricks around here. They almost feel plasticky, like slight plastic film on them, which just makes the paint spread really well. But as you can see, it's not a brilliant white, so I think 2 coats minimum, maybe 3. But I'll do a second heavy coat and hope for the best. So I'm just going to roller what's left, which shouldn't take long. Going all around here takes the most time, but just rollering with a 12-inch is not going to take too long, really. And let it dry overnight, and then we'll reevaluate tomorrow, because as it dries it might get sucked more into the blocks. I'm hoping not, but we'll see. So that is now 2 full coats, and that is a very, very nice finish actually. As you can see, second coat does go on quite a bit easier. Now remember, so I had 5 litres of Leyland, which got me 1 full coat plus probably up to about here on a second coat along this wall, plus in all the gaps. So that was 5 litres. So then I bought this Santex 7.5 litres for, I think it was 28 quid. So I've just done a full second coat, and that's what I've got left, probably about half. To be fair, I've probably used about a third of it actually, because I've got a paint tray full of paint as well, just here. So having used both the Leyland and the Santex, I'd say the Santex is a far better product. It just feels better quality, it seems to spread better, it gets in the gaps better, it's thicker, I'd say it's less runny, and you seem to have to roller it less than the Leyland stuff. Now I'm basing that on doing a second coat over the Leyland, but remember I also used the Leyland to do a second coat in this area over the Leyland, so I do have some comparison. It's not just because there was already a coat down that I'm saying that the Santex is better, if you get what I mean. So yeah, the Leyland 20 quid for 5 litres, the Santex 28.95 for 7.5 litres, so it's a tiny bit cheaper, and yeah, in my view a much better product. So if you're happy with this finish, which is perfectly fine, I mean everything's covered, and it's a pretty uniform white, you know, it's a very nice finish, I would say. It's going to take you about 7.5 to 8 litres, I would say. So if I was to do it again, I would simply just buy a tub of the Santex, and you might be able to get away with it, just 2 coats with 1 tub. If not, you could go the route I went with the Leyland 5 litres and then another tub of Santex, although I'll have some Santex left over, which I don't really need. Alternatively, you could do the Everbuild and then a watered down mix of just standard white emulsion, whatever white paint you've got laying around. That might make the actual paint that you've bought, the masonry paint, go a little bit further. So yeah, that's it, that's 2 coats. Now, am I going to stop there? No, I'm going to do 1 more coat, just because I can see some areas where it's not a complete uniform white, like between here and here, look, just where it's been put on a bit thicker there and a bit less thick there. But that's being very pedantic, and the only reason I'm going to do a 3rd coat really is because I'm going to have loads of paint left over, which I'm just not going to need. Also, the more coats you do, the quicker it is. So this probably took me an hour to do the 2nd coat, but I think the 3rd coat, because everything is fully covered and saturated, a lot less time than that, I would say. So yeah, that's basically it for the painting. I'll show the final result after a 3rd coat, and then we'll move on to the floor and lighting, essentially. I might as well throw that into the video as well. So cheers. But yeah, I'll definitely recommend the Santex, so I'll leave a link to it in the description too. And there we go, that's 3 coats done and dusted. So for the 3rd and final coat, I really did plaster it on and just barely roller it, just so I've got a nice thick coat on there that can seep into the brick as much as possible and leave me with a nice bright finish. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Definitely Santex is the paint to go for, in my opinion. But yeah, that's all done. Now we can move on to the floor and a lot of tidying up. So, flooring. Now with flooring, I really ummed and ahed about what route to go down. Essentially, you've probably got like 3 or 4 options. So the most expensive of them all would be to resin coat the garage floor. Now, to do that professionally with a really robust, long-lasting finish, you're looking at minimum probably 1,500, probably closer to 2K to have someone come and do it. Where they would, I think they use like self-leveling compound to get it like glass smooth, and then resin coat. So completely pointless for my application, complete waste of money, I think, unless you really need like a spotless showroom garage. The next most expensive option, really, I would say, other than fitting like porcelain tiles or something like that, would be plastic interlocking tiles. So I looked at the likes of Duramat, and Big Doug is another brand people use. There's plenty of different flooring companies out there which use PVC interlocking tiles. Now, you're looking at roughly around £6 a tile, and when I did the maths on that, it would be round about 450 quid for me to do that small garage. So ruled that out as well. If it was, again, if I had like a double garage, it was nice, spotlessly clean, had a really expensive car in there, I would probably do that, like go that route. But since it's not really big enough to even put a car in it, and it's more just to keep my detailing stuff and potentially motorbike and this mountain bike here, seemed too expensive, really. The next most expensive, as in, well, the next cheapest going down the list, would be just using concrete garage floor paint. But it doesn't really matter what brand you go with, it all eventually, after not that much time really, can look like shit, really, and you get scratches in it and chips. It just doesn't really last. So, and also there's no insulation, like it's cold, you know, it's still just painted concrete at the end of the day. So the final cheapest option, I would say, other than just throwing some like rubber mats down, are carpet tiles, and that's what I've gone with. Now, ideally you want bitumen backed ones. Now, on eBay you can buy these new, and they're almost always peel and stick tiles, which are really naff, so don't go with them. They're just paper thin. So bitumen backed ones, or like this is like a really thick kind of rubber coating on them, so they've got some good weight to each one. Now, the cheapest way to do it is look on eBay, look on Facebook Marketplace, maybe even Gumtree, and look for any kind of bathroom, kitchen, office, warehouse, like furnishers, like furnish companies. And you'll almost always find many suppliers selling these secondhand, either like B or A grade, or whatever. So I managed to find these on Facebook Marketplace about 15 miles away, and I paid £35 for 75 tiles, which is more than I need, but it's always good to have some spare. When I did the maths on it, I think I need about 60 in total. These are 50 by 50 cm, which most of them are that you'll see online. So yeah, I'll have quite a few spare. So the reason I've gone with these is they're, particularly this colour, it's not too light that it's going to show dirt loads, and it's not too dark where it's going to show stuff like plaster dust, like wood chippings, stuff like that. If you go too dark, it will show that up. It's kind of like a mix of grey and blue, which I think will really suit the garage. You can just lay them down and forget about it, but I think what I will do, I've got a can of spray adhesive knocking about somewhere. Just glue down maybe like every other tile, or one in the middle of like several, just to give it some stability. But once they're all in place, they will typically not move, because they can't move, because each other tile keeps it in place. So that is an absolute steal. I've essentially paid 35 quid plus whatever the Everbuild was. I think it was about 11 quid for the concrete sealer. So you're looking at 46 quid to completely sort out the garage floor. These give some insulation, they're nicer to kneel on, they're easy to replace, and they're not going to kind of like get indentations in them like foam would. So yeah, it's a win-win. If you're kind of on the fence about it, there's plenty of people online in forums and that have fit carpet tiles and they have no complaints. So one thing to note is you want to go with, I think it's pronounced polypropylene, something like that, tiles, because they are very resistant to oil, chemicals, other kind of spills and stuff. They're very, very hard wearing. That's why you find them in offices where like they have tons of footfall. So that's what these are as well. So all it's cost me is 35 quid for all these, plus some spare, plus whatever the electric costs to use my trusty Parkside, because these are used. Just go in on each one, vacuuming it really clean, using a bit of this vanish stuff here, because some of them have the odd coffee stain, but the stains come right out with a bit of vanish and a drill and a brush attachment like this. And that's it. I'm absolutely sorted. So yeah, if you did want to buy tiles new, I will leave a link in the description for some which are quite well regarded on Amazon. But whatever you do, avoid the peel and stick ones, because they're like a fraction of this thickness and they won't last 5 minutes. So I'm going to start measuring up and get these installed. So prior to sealing the floor, I'm just going to do a big tidy up, obviously get everything out, all the cardboard, all that stuff. Then I'm just going to go around with this chisel here and a hammer and just gently knock down any high bits. So there are some high spots in the concrete, like blobs, which are going to affect how the tiles sit. Kind of optional really, everyone's garage base is going to be different. Most of the raised bits on mine are right around the perimeter, so which I'm not too fussed about, because like I'm just not really going to be storing stuff like on that area. But it's not going to take long just to gently like flatten them out with this beefy thing here. I'll leave a link for this in the description as well, because it's pretty damn heavy and well made, and it completely protects your hand as well when you're hammering. So, and then I might, if I can be bothered, just go around with a drill and brush attachment and a bit of IPA to get rid of any like massive white paint splatter on the floor. But again, not really too fussed because it's going to be covered by tile anyway. So I'm not going to film this bit, I'll just get it done so I'm ready for the actual Everbuild. So there we go, garage floor all clean and dry and vacuumed. Got the Everbuild there in this. Just gonna roller it on. May need a brush for the edges, but we'll see. Working from the back outwards, it says to do one coat, then leave it 24 hours and do a second coat. Leave that 24 hours and then you can do what you want. So guess I'll just give it a go. Using the same roller I rolled the walls with the Everbuild 406. So yeah, you get the idea. I'll just do the whole floor now. So that is one coat done, and I'm just going to leave the garage door open all day to help it dry. I don't really want to leave it 24 hours for a second coat, because I just want to get it all finished now so I can start putting stuff back in here. So I'll check on it later. If it looks dry enough to me, I might just put a second coat on this evening, so tomorrow I can lay the tiles. But yeah, not bad. You can see how much is left there, but I've also still got some in the tub. For the edges, I literally just poured it on neat. I couldn't be arsed on my hands and knees with a brush, so yeah, poured it on neat and then just used the roller to make it spread, and it's already drying. So yeah, I'll have to see how it goes. If it's anything like Everbuild 406, it should work pretty well. Again, it's an optional step if you're going to put tiles down, but the idea is it will just prevent any dust build-up from under the tiles, which will eventually make its way through the gaps. So Yeah, I think it's worth doing for like 12 quid or whatever the 5 litre thing costs, and doesn't take much effort. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this to dry now and I'll check on it later. So that is now 2 coats down. So I should say I didn't follow the manufacturer's recommendation. What I basically did was 1 coat at 11 AM and then I put a second coat on about 5 PM. Left it overnight and now it's 10 AM the next morning, and I'm just gonna lay the tiles now. I can't be bothered to wait anymore. So the manufacturer does say to wait 24 hours between coats, but I can't be bothered. So it feels pretty good to me. Definitely much less dusty. It's got a bit of a sheen to it if you look there. It's kind of holding in all the dust. It could probably potentially do with a 3rd coat, but I'm not really that bothered because tiles are going on anyway. I'm not too fussed as long as it just reduces the dust, and if you look, there's none on my fingers anywhere. So that's a win, I would say. Yeah. It has slightly changed the colour of the floor, so it's darker in areas and especially around the edges, but again, this is all going to be hidden by tiles very soon, so yeah, I'm going to get started laying them down. So all I've done is marked up where the garage door ends when it's closed with masking tape, and then I've got the dead centre line there and the same here. So the easiest way to do it typically is to just throw down tiles in a line to there, and then throw down tiles across this way, and then you'll see how much you'll need to cut off like the end tiles. And if you can't really see the seams between tiles like you can't with this type, you can get away with moving it slightly off center, because what you don't want is, like, say a 10cm strip on this side and like a 7cm strip on this side, because you're just gonna like line the perimeter with really thin strips of tile, which is just a ball ache and pointless. So you might as well shift the whole lot so it's more like half a tile here and like a full tile over there. Same this way. So I'm just gonna do a cross first and see what I can juggle around, so I don't have loads of little strips everywhere, if you get what I mean. So I've just got a straight edge here, a bit of MDF to cut on, a brand new Stanley blade, tape measure if I need it, the tiles, and I bought this for another job but I never ended up using it, so I'm just going to use this, not on every single tile, probably one in every 3 or 4 or something, just to give it a bit more stability. So yeah, I'll crack on. Oh, I will also note that each tile has a arrow on it that basically dictates the pile. So if you lay them all with the arrow facing the same way, you'll get a nice uniform look. If you prefer a bit more of like almost like a checkerboard effect, you can vary the arrow direction. I'm just going to keep it all uniform, so they're all just going to point either that way or that way, it doesn't really matter. But you can do what you want really. So if you look in like office buildings on the floor, you might see like lines in tiles going different ways. That's because they've alternated the arrows. But because these are just pretty plain anyway, I don't really think it's going to make much difference. So anyway, enough chit chat and I'll lay them down. So I've got quite lucky. So if we come over here, that's going to need a very small amount cut off, not a big deal at all. Same either side, so you can kind of see I'm going to have to cut that end bit off there. And here, I mean it's practically nothing, but you do want a tiny little gap for expansion and whatnot, so I'll have to cut off maybe 1 centimetre off this one. Well, maybe a bit more because it's overlapping here, look. Maybe about 2 inches. So yeah, that's nice and easy, to be fair. So I'm not going to keep recording the process, I'm just going to get it done and we'll see how it looks, but so far so good. And there we go, and I'm honestly absolutely thrilled with that. I mean, 35 quid and you got this lovely floor. It's so nice to walk on. I think it really suits the space as well. Easy to do, you just need a sharp Stanley blade. I started at about 11:15 and it's 1:30 now, so not too long at all. With these tiles, these rubber backed ones, easiest way to cut them is to keep scoring a few times with light pressure, and then simply bend them and the rubber backing will split where you've scored it, and then use the knife to cut through the fabric. It will just save your wrist. It's a much easier way of trimming them down. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. As I said, you could go with interlocking tiles, but honestly this feels nice. It's like warm, nice to kneel on, and I bought way more than I needed. I've not counted, but there must be about 20 there, so I've got loads to swap them out like as they age or get bad stains on them or whatever. So yeah, I left a little bit of a gap around the edges just for any expansion, and I did use that spray adhesive on some. Well, I used it on all the perimeter ones and the front, and one or two like every other tile or so in the middle, and then I've just vacuumed it. So yeah, that's really nice. It's actually cut down on the echoes in here too. It's way less echoey. One final thing I will do is just buy some cheap stick-on trim edge just to put here. It'll just make stuff like rolling my pressure washer in and out smoother, and it won't kind of catch the edge of the tile. You can get that cheap and just 3M tape it down or whatever. But yeah, that was pretty damn easy to fit. 35 quid, and I've got a really nice floor now. So yeah, I definitely recommend the carpet tiles route. The other thing I will say is if your garage is prone to damp, these may not be the best option, but this garage is integral to the house, so the living room is literally on the other side of that, so I don't get any damp whatsoever, and it doesn't really get below freezing because you have insulation from this wall that tends to keep it like in the plus numbers anyway. But yeah, that's the floor done, the ceiling done, and the walls done. So now onto the lights. And yeah, I would, with these, I'd definitely say 3 coats is the way to go. You just get a way more even finish. That just looks absolutely amazing. It's proper brilliant white, and that Santex stuff is the paint to go for. Better than Leyland. Leyland's good, but Santex is better and it's a bit cheaper, so it's a win-win, I would say. So yeah, I can finally start bringing my stuff back in here, and I can get my kitchen back. So cheers, onto the lights. So for the lighting, I've just gone with these 2 Morris 5-foot LED battens. On Amazon, I think it was about 33 quid for the pair, so pretty good value. Should be a simple install. I'm gonna put one here because I've got a new workbench which is going to go here, so that provides plenty of overhead lighting. And then the other one is just going to replace that there, and then depending on how it looks, I might get a third further that way to the other end of the garage, but it's a small garage, so I think two is probably too much, to be fair, but they're cheap, so I might as well. So I did have to also buy some twin and earth in white, just so it blends in well with the ceiling. This was about 8 quid, so I'm going to get them installed now. So the lights are installed, and I have to say I wouldn't recommend them. They're super bright, but the clips you get with them are awful. Like, I was sticking about with it for absolutely ages, trying to get the light to clip in. If you look on Amazon, there's a lot of reviews of people experiencing the same. It's because there's no gap once the light is offered up to the wall. There's no gap for your wiring. So if you see there, I had to cut into the side of it, and then I had to do the same on the other side, just to get it to sort of sit. And if you see, the middle clip isn't even clipped in, it's being held in by the side ones. So if I ever knock it even slightly, I think it will come down. in which case I'll probably just drill into the body and give it some cable ties instead, but for now it will do. Also the wiring here is a bit skewy, so I'll probably swap that with trunking at some point, but can't be asked at the minute. For now it will do. I'm not going to return them, I'll keep them because they are super bright. I'll turn them on now, but bear in mind they're not anti-flicker, so my camera's probably going to spaz out, but there we go. Yeah, it's flickering like hell, but it's super bright in here. It's literally like daylight. So it's perfect for like working on a motorbike or whatever you might be doing. And I've got this bench here I'm gonna assemble later, and that will just go here. So I've got all this light pretty much dedicated to this bench. No more head torches for me, that's all I'll say. So yeah, probably wouldn't recommend them. I'd say spend a bit more for one with a better kind of mounting system, but at the same time, for like 30 odd quid for the pair, 5 foot, not terrible. So let's move on. And here we are, completely finished. And I must say, it's been one of the most rewarding projects I've done to this house. It's made such a massive difference. So what's changed since my last video update? Well, I got this cheap stick-on skirting here just to tidy up where the concrete was quite bumpy, and basically where the concrete base meets the wall. Pretty nice actually. It's stuck on really well, and just finishes it off nicely. It's a bit bumpy in areas obviously, but it does the job. And say if I ever like drop a screw or something and it kind of falls in that gap, I'll at least be able to find it pretty easily. What else? So tidied up all this, sorted everything out, so I've got my detailing products and whatnot, jack down there. I also fastened these to the wall, just an obvious safety precaution you should do really. They actually came with the raw plugs, but I did use my own, so they're set in place now. Next I got just a cheap hook, this red one, that was like £2.70 on eBay, just to get this mountain bike out the way, so I just put it in the corner there. Got my, I think it's called Wow shelving, workbench off eBay, 85 quid. Really nice build quality, to be fair. Quite like the colours on it as well. I can't remember the dimensions. I got the next one up from the smallest one, and I think it's an ideal width, so I can shove my bike in the corner, shove my bike stand and a ladder in that corner as well, and that's all good. Next I just got a cheap vise on Amazon, because I very rarely use a vise, to be honest, so I didn't want to spend like big money on one because it's just not a tool I need often. Also I didn't want a surface mounted vise because I really didn't want to drill into this brand new bench for something that is just going to get in the way because I use it so infrequently. So I got this clamp on one here, and one issue with a clamp on vise, regardless of which one you get, with this particular table, because these beams are quite wide, it's not going to clamp on. And even if you do get one with a wide enough throat, it's just going to destroy this surface. So I just got a couple of bits of wood here, drilled them together, so the vise clamps onto the bit of wood, and then I got this ratchet clamp here, and if you look underneath, I've just got a plank of wood there which is 3M taped to the underside, so it has something to push up against. And I'm really happy with that solution because I can just take this off. I've only actually put it on for the video because, like I said, I never really use a vise. But whenever I'm done with it, just take this clamp off and this whole piece comes off in one, and it's solid as a rock. So that's not going anywhere. I'll leave a link to these as well because they're really high quality, good clamping force. The vise, I don't really know what kind of quality it's going to be, like how long it's going to last, but again, it was about 18 quid and I rarely use it. So probably my favourite thing I've done to the garage is this pegboard. Now you do have to be careful buying a pegboard. If you look on Amazon and eBay and that, you'll see a lot of Chinese made ones which don't have the standardised 1-inch gap between holes, so you often have to buy the proprietary accessory kits. That's when I stumbled on this Amazon Basics one, which does have the standard 1-inch holes. So that means any accessory kit you buy is going to work well with it, and it's metal, really high quality to be fair. And it came with its own accessories as well. So what I did, because I didn't want to drill a bunch of holes into the brickwork, just got 2 pieces of timber, as you can see there, and one there, drilled those into the wall, and then drilled the pegboard into the wood. So and then that makes it stick out of the wall a little bit more as well, which I think is quite good really. The Amazon Basics board itself is really good, but the accessories you get with it are fine. You get things like this, but they will just fall out pretty much immediately because you need these which go on the ends, and it just stops them falling out. Now the Amazon Basics pegboard doesn't come with any of these, so I bought an additional accessories kit for about 12 quid or something like that. I'll link that as well. And now I've got more mounts than I would ever really need. This will evolve over time anyway. I'll add more stuff to it, maybe take stuff off that I never use, but the accessories kit is brilliant. So you've got all kinds of different ones for like screwdrivers, drills, all that kind of stuff. And it came with loads of these little things, so the mounts themselves won't rattle off. And also for extra protection, it came with these. So for like single hooks, let me see if I can find one where I've used it. Yeah, there you go. So for like single hooks, you put the rubber stopper on the end, and also this, and that's never going to come out now. So it's just extra safety for like the single pronged attachments. That's what you use them on. But yeah, really happy with that. Once I installed the pegboard and stood back, I had a right grin on my face because it just finishes off the garage so nicely. And installing a second light, apologies for the flashing, right here was an absolute game changer because I've got crisp white light beaming down onto this workbench. So no more head torches for me. Really happy with that. Coming back to the lights, I did buy a little trunking kit, as you can see here, to tidy up that mess that I had before, which is stuck on very easily. Really can't fault it. I do need to sand down a couple of areas up there and paint where I filled some holes caused by the previous cable clips. But yeah, that's essentially it. Again, I'll leave a whole list of everything I've used for this project and the total price, which I think was about 400 quid, but I'll go on to that next at the end of this video. All in all, completely transformed. I'm really happy with it. It's pretty much what I envisioned. Is that the word, or is it envisaged? Either way, I had like an idea in my head of what it should look like, and I think I've completely nailed it. And it really not that much money to get all this brand new gear in. And this racking plus the pegboard has really freed up so much space for like a mountain, a motorbike or whatever. you wouldn't really fit a car in here, but you can't with most single garages. And stuff like this isn't even going to stay in here, so it'll free up even more space. This will be going in my Kita outdoor storage box when that gets delivered. And I've still got a bit of neatening up to do, but all in all, absolutely sorted. Really, really happy with it. So yeah, it's a very long video, but for those who followed along, I hope it's inspired you to do something similar. And yeah, it's really not going to cost you much money, like under 500 quid to get a result like this, I think is an absolute bargain. And I've still got all those spare tiles as well. So cheers. Let's go on to the pricing now. So finally, this is just a quick price breakdown of absolutely everything I did to the garage. So looking at the items already owned and what were needed. So this is stuff I didn't have to pay for because I already had them essentially. So yeah, basically a vacuum, paintbrushes, a roller extension for the ceiling, a big tub big enough for a 12-inch roller, dust sheet slash cardboard, something to cover the floor, lighting, rags, bin bags, masking tape, paint mixer or a stick, basically your general decorating stuff. So you're probably going to have a lot of this, but if not, that would be additional to the total cost. So things I actually bought specifically for this project. So I'd ran out of Johnston's matte white, so I had to buy some more, and that was for the ceiling. Then I did the Leyland on the brickwork, but that didn't go very far. So that was that. Everbuild 406 was the sealer for the brickwork, and then 403 sealer for the floor, just to reduce the dust. Then I got the Santex white masonry 7.5 litres to get enough coats on the brickwork. Out of the two, I'd definitely recommend Santex over Johnston's. So sorry, Santex over Leyland. I just think the Santex is a better product. The coverall suit, just to protect yourself from paint, that was a fiver. A couple of 12-inch rollers, 9 quid. As we move down, brickwork brushes, 2-pack, 4.93. What else? Oh yeah, the cradle for the 12-inch roller. I needed that as well. Then I got my Facebook Marketplace second-hand carpet tiles, 35 quid for 75 of them. I've combined the two LED battens plus about 5 meters of 3-core wire to link them up and wire them in. That was 42 quid in total. The two shelves, 43. The garage door strip, that's that black rubber thing you can see along the floor at the front of the garage to stop leaves and water and stuff getting in. I think that's just tidies it up quite nicely, to be fair. And then the stick-on skirting, that's just that white plastic vinyl-y stuff going around the perimeter. Workbench from Wow Shelving, 85 quid delivered. Cheap vise, Chinese vise, 18.99. The Amazon Basics pegboard. The extra accessories kit with those little rubber stopper things on them. The 2 bar clamps to clamp my vise mount to the workbench, so they're kind of optional really. 2 timber battens from B&Q, 750. Bike hook, 270, and the cable trunking to neaten up the wiring between the 2 lights. And that's the total, £470 and 2 pence for that complete transformation, which I think is really good value. As you look at this list, there'll be things you'll want to do and things you won't really feel the need to do. So this is more of just like a guideline of what you might expect to pay. But for example, if you already have a bench and a vise, that's already knocked like over £100 off your total there. So yeah, it's more just to give you an idea of what it might cost. So that's essentially it. I'll leave links to most of this stuff in the description, and prices are going to vary because a lot of it was from Amazon and they do offers and stuff here and there. Some of it was eBay as well, so I'll have to dig out the links for all that. But yeah, all in all, really happy with it. And here's just the final before and after photo to kind of nail the point home, just what a difference it's made. So cheers.